and I will be reading The Whispering Cloth for you guys today. The Whispering Cloth, written by Peggy Shea, illustrated by Anita Rigo, stitched by Yua Yang. After Mai's cousins moved to America, Mai passed the days with Grandma at the widow's store, watching the women do pandao, story cloths. She loved listening to the widow stitch and talk, mostly about their lives back in Laos and about their grandmothers lives in China 100 years ago. All Mai could remember was a life inside the refugee camp, where everyone seemed to come and go but her.
Mai,
Came Grandma's crackling voice.
put Cousin's letter away. The words would disappear if you read them one more time. Come help me with the Bandao Buddhas.
But I don't know how. Grandma thread a needle and wrap her hand around Mai's.
Push the needle up through the cloth,
Grandma instructed.
and poke it back in when it has gone the length of a grain of rice.
Grandma then began drawing herbs and animals at the Bandao borders for Mai to embroider. By the end of the hot season, Mai was drawing and stitching her own border designs: vines of milky jasmine, bursts of purple orchid, palm trees plump with papaya.
Hurry and finish, Mai.
Grandma said one day.
The traders will be coming from Qingkang.
How much would they pay for the ones I help on? Mai asked, nodding her last stitch.
Twice as much as the others.
Grandma bragged.
You sew even better than your mother did when she was alive, and her bandao were praised throughout the hills. Bang, 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 mak.
The traders complained when Grandma demanded 50 Thai baht for her bandao. But when they saw the fine detail of the borders, the traders agreed to pay 40 baht, twice the usual price.
Keep stitching, Mai,
Grandma said when the trader left.
and we'll fly from this camp before the rabbit breeds again.
Mai's hands went back to work on the borders, but her eyes and ears were drawn to the tribal stories the women stitched inside the borders. Every time the wind rippled the bandao hanging at the widow's store, Mai heard words in the air.
Grandma, I want to do a whole bandao myself,
she said finally.
Can you give me a story? If you do not have a story of your own, you are not ready to do bandao.
Mai tried for days to think of a story she could stitch, but all the good ones were already whispering around her. One night, Mai's fingers cramped so much that she couldn't sleep. Grandma lay down on the mat beside Mai, enfolded her, and rubbed her hands. Grandma's soothing made Mai remember how she had slept when she was little, snug as a banana in a bunch, snug, with her mother behind her, her father in front of her. Mai's lower lip began to quiver.
I want my mommy and daddy,
she cried softly.
I know,
Grandma said.
Call to them, Mai. Call their spirits with the woods in your fingers.
Mai closed her eyes and tried to picture her parents. Flashes, noises, smells bombarded her. A story was erupt in her head, a story she could stitch. Little Mai slept between her mother and father, who were very beautiful even though blood dripped from their heads. Grandmother put Mai in a basket on her back and ran through the paddies to the riverbank. Soldiers fired, bullets whistled over the people's heads and made rings in the brown Mekong. On the other side of the river, soldiers in different clothes took them to a crowded village inside a tall fence. People stood in long lines to get little bags of rice and dried fish. Mai grew taller. She passed the days watching the blacksmith make knives and tools. Sometimes she pounded balls of silver into flat sheets for the jewelry maker. Mai helped grandmother grow chilies and coriander. Mai searched for empty glass bottles. When she put them upside down in the ground around her hut, they sparkled. This is how Mai lived for many years. Mai finished her bandao as the rainy season was ending.
Grandma, how much would the traders pay for my bandao? Enough to fly to America?
Grandma ran her fingers over the needlework. Then she took the bandao by the corners and held it up to the breeze. She turned her head so that her good ear grazed the stitches. After a long time, she whispered,
"That trader will offer nothing."
"Nothing?" Mai cried in frustration.
"The bandao tells me it has not finished the story,"
Grandma replied.
"But I had nothing left to tell."
Grandma squinted, pushing yellow through the eye of a needle.
"There is always more thread."
Mai grabbed her bandao and ran through the muddy lanes of brown huts all the way to the camp border. There, rainwater gushed freely through the barred fence and joined a stream beyond. Mai stood in the water and let it wash over her feet. She stared out past the fence for a long time. Then she sat down on the bank and began to stitch. One day, Grandmother and Mai flew inside an airplane. They glided softly above boxes of land to a village where home were as big as mahogany trees. Mai and her cousin built men with white crystal, swam in cooling salt water, read books with beautiful pictures. And at night, Mai snuggled with Grandmother in a yellow bed with a silky roof. Many days later, Mai rejoined the women at the widow's store and showed them her finished bandao.
"It's very fine,"
Grandma said.
"I like the bed with the roof."
"How much would the trader give me? It is worth much. What do you think?" Mai picked up the bandao, but the wind blew it back against her. The short, rough stitches of her father's hand stood up from the cloth to stroke Mai's chin. She tried to speak, but the smooth stitches of her mother's cheek hushed her lip.
"Mai?"
Grandma nudged her.
"How much?"
"Nothing," Mai whispered, clutching the story cloth.
"Nothing?"
The bandao tell me it is not for sale." Hey guys, so thank you for joining this journey with me. I hope you guys stay safe, wash your hands, and listen to your parents.